I believe everybody has a story, some story, where they came from, what they do, who they are. What would be the title of your story?
Opportunity. You know, I've been very blessed in my life. I mean, big in my faith, and I believe God has a plan, and I think I'm just living out where He wants me to be. And I mean, growing up here in Albuquerque, having the opportunity to be the head coach at the University of New Mexico for the football team, I mean, that's a dream come true for me, and I'm living the dream of a lot of people. I mean, growing up here, being able to go to the pit and watching Lobo basketball games and University Stadium watching Lobo football games, well, I got keys to all those buildings now, so I can kind of go wherever I want. It's pretty awesome.
For those who aren't familiar, where exactly did you grow up? Where are you from?
So I grew up in the North Valley. My parents moved to Taylor Ranch for my elementary and middle school years. Went to Marie Hughes Elementary School, John Adams Middle School, and then I went to Valley High School. Graduated there in '94, and then spent the next 15 years of my life here at the University of New Mexico, whether it was playing football, coaching football, video coordinator, I mean, you name it, I kind of did a little bit of everything here.
How did you first get involved in sports? What's kind of your first sports memory?
When I was 5 years old, my parents signed me up for soccer in Taylor Ranch, the Northwest Rio Grande Soccer League. Played soccer until my sophomore year in high school, and that was kind of with club soccer. It kind of dominated my life, and it was year round. And then I had the opportunity to play football in high school and fell in love with it. And now as a multi-sport athlete, I think that's very important, especially here in New Mexico where the population is low. But I think it helps kids be better athletes. And so I played multiple sports in high school: football, soccer, basketball, baseball, track. I mean, I did it all. And I think it gave me a lot of the opportunities I have today.
Football, obviously being your primary sport now. When did you make the transition from kind of soccer to football, and why?
So I played both my freshman and sophomore year. Broke my leg in a soccer game my sophomore year. And the football coaches said, Danny, we're not going to rely on you to play football if you're going to get hurt playing another sport. And so I transitioned. I loved football, and that was where I decided to go.
What is it you like about football? Why are you so passionate about that sport?
I think it instills so much more than just the game. I mean, the physical nature of it, obviously, I mean, I enjoy that part of it. I think it's important, but the discipline side of it, and football is the only sport that you actually practice more than you play. And it takes so much investment to be good at it. I think it just drives and creates good habits for the rest of your life.
Who instilled those habits in you? Do you have someone that played really an important part in your development?
First and foremost, my parents. My dad was a huge supporter of me in everything I did. Didn't matter what I was doing, he was there. And I mean, he through embarrassment, through tough lessons, I mean, you name it. He used to call it I used to play goalie in soccer, and when they'd score on me, I'd punch the ground and get all dramatic, and it really bothered him. He's like, you know what, get up, and you just got to act better than that. And I kept doing it, and one day during a game, it happened, and I kind of punched the ground, and he on the sideline jumped down to the floor, started beating the ground, screaming, oh my God, why'd you do that? The most embarrassing thing I've ever witnessed in my life. I never did it again. So it was a good lesson. I mean, he's been there, and then coaches throughout, and teachers. I mean, my first grade teacher, Miss Diane Diaz, Miss Diaz is still in my life. I mean, I got to connect with her a couple weeks ago since I've been back. Miss Herrera was my third grade teacher, third, fourth, and fifth. I mean, they were very influential in my life. And then getting to high school coaches. I mean, Coach Vince Collins, who was the head football coach my senior year at Valley and had 17 great years at Valley High School, we're still really close today and had a great impact on me.
How were you as a high school athlete? How would you describe yourself?
I played hard. I mean, that was something instilled from my dad from a young age. No matter how good you are, how bad you are, you can make up for a lot of things with effort. And coach have preached that from the day I met him. So I think I had a good background of that. I think I did everything to my full potential. I mean, I was okay. I wasn't great. Obviously, I didn't make it to the professional leagues, but I was able to play in college, and I had a really good high school career. And I know people. I mean, I can be proud that I played hard. I know that.
And what position did you play?
So I played safety and running back in football. Was a point guard in basketball. Was a center fielder in baseball, but I could not hit the ball to save my life. And then I ran all the sprints and track, and I mean, I did a little bit of everything.
You mentioned all those sports, and earlier you talked about being a multi-sport athlete. Why do you feel that is important?
I think you become robotic if you do one thing. I think for football, when we're evaluating high school kids, I want them to play basketball and baseball. I mean, basketball, you have so much eye movement and stuff and reactions that you'll never see in football, and I think it helps you see things better. I mean, baseball, you have to judge a fly ball, you have to judge a baseball in the air. I mean, that's a tremendous help for football. I think all sports kind of correlate, and if you do one thing over and over, your muscle memory, you can challenge it to doing robotic things. And I think, one, multi-sports helps all the sports within the school, and it makes your school that much better, but I think it helps develop you as an athlete.
What was it like when you accepted the job as the head coach of the University of New Mexico and returned back to the city you grew up in? What was that kind of first day like? What was it like coming back?
The whole process. And they want to introduce me at a basketball game 4 hours later. I mean, they flew me out here with my family. What an amazing deal. And there was a bunch of people at that game that night. I mean, that was pre-COVID, so it was an exciting time. I'm very blessed again with who I've been surrounded by administration-wise, President Stokes, Eddie. I mean, the reason I'm here is because they believe in the opportunity to win championships, and that drives me in this. That's why I do it. We get an opportunity to be mentors to young men. Our staff is great fathers, great husbands, great men, and that's who they'll be. And it's the example they're setting for our players who are going to be our community leaders. And to have the opportunity to do that here where I'm from, I mean, it's a great honor.
What did you learn as a high school athlete growing up that now you apply as the head coach?
Discipline, structure. You have to, even on the days you don't want to, you always feel better when you've completed a task. And it's easy to stay in bed and just say, I'll do it later. And that's kind of a loser's mentality. And that wasn't, we were very driven by all our sports. I mean, from Coach Collins, Gerald Snyder, who was the basketball coach when I was at Valley, who went on to the 96 state championship team down in Las Cruces. Roger Cordova, who was a longtime baseball coach. I mean, Coach Adamio, our track coach. I mean, all those people, it was always structure and discipline. And I mean, you can't, that suits you for the rest, that suits you for the rest of your life.
How has high school sports changed since you were an athlete? You recruit all these kids now nationwide here in New Mexico. How is it different? How is high school sports
Social
different?
media. I mean, I feel sorry for them. These knuckleheads record every dumb thing they do, and they don't have any privacy, partly to their own fault, but it's the life they live. And I fought it early, but you can't because it's not changing, and it's only going to grow more. And it can be very beneficial. It's a very powerful tool, both positive and negative. And I think as mentors, we need to teach them. I mean, Coach Edwards said it, Herm Edwards said it best, don't hit send. Once you do that, you don't own it anymore. And I think it's changed high school kids' lives dramatically. And I mean, there's adults dealing with the repercussions of it now and stuff that they might have done when they were in high school when it first came out. So they have to be responsible, but I think social media has changed the aspect of not only high school, but just our lives in general.
You talked to New Mexico high school coaches as a group recently. What was your message to them?
Appreciation. I think high school coaches have to be the most innovative people around because they don't get to recruit the kids in most cases that they coach. They get the neighborhood kids. So sometimes you're going to have the best ones and sometimes you're not. And the lessons you teach them and the ways you get them to be competitive, you have to be innovative. And in New Mexico, I don't think that's appreciated enough. I think there's a greater appreciation now because of the pandemic of teachers and what they do on a daily basis. All the parents that had to live at home with their kids for the last year and a half and struggled have a much greater appreciation. And I mean, I think teachers should be paid significantly more than they are. And I think that's the opinion of a lot of people right now because of what they've gone through the last year and a half.
You mentioned the word appreciation. Do you think you have even more appreciation for this job as a head coach than maybe others have because you've grown up here, because this is where you're from?
I have a great passion for this school, but also for the city and the state. And when we were here before, we had a lot of success, and New Mexico kids were our greatest players. And can you build an entire roster off New Mexico kids? You can't. And everybody knows that. There's only 1.2 million people in the whole state. But if you take 4 or 5 every year, which we're going to do, after 5 years, you've got 25, 30 kids on your team that are from New Mexico that are some of your better players. And now you've got a New Mexico team built off of New Mexico talent. And I think that's really important. So that might separate me because I don't know a lot of people have that vision. But because we've had success with it, I know it works.